Hey everyone, welcome to the Vanquish Round Table. I'm Austin.
I'm Winston.
I'm Jay.
And today we're going to be talking about a very hot topic going on right now, that Jar Jar is actually a Sith Lord. There's a theory that's gone very viral and like nobody can stop talking about it. You're obviously not a Star Wars fanatic if you haven't seen this theory. We're actually a little late on this, but we're going to dive into it, talk about our thoughts on it. If you haven't seen the theory, which I highly recommend looking it up, we'll put a link in the description or whatever. But here's the summarized version of it. This guy came on Reddit about a week ago, and he theorized that Jar Jar is actually a skilled warrior, which you could see, like, we're gonna run clips over this, but like, you know, he jumped like 20 feet high and did a somersault in one scene. They say his lucky fighting style resembles the Drunken Fist Wushu style. Like if you've seen Drunken Master with Jackie Chan, it's like that. Lots of swaying and using your momentum and stuff like that. And then in this ambush scene, he also did some kind of forced maneuver, and it threw off the droids, as you can see. Like he kind of like shoots in the wrong direction and like gets confused. He also uses gestures to convince people of things, which is a little bit of a stretch, but I could see that. He also, a big one that's obvious, they didn't hide this at all. Jar Jar was like the convincing person to put Palpatine in charge and get everyone to abandon democracy in the galaxy. So that's a huge tell. Jar Jar and Palpatine are also from the same planet. George Lucas also wanted the prequels in the original trilogy to rhyme, so they said that Jar Jar's reveal of being a Sith Lord is like Yoda's reveal of being a Jedi after seeming kind of kooky or whatever. And also Jar Jar, this one got me a little bit, that Jar Jar was mouthing the words that other people were saying as if he was using the Force to control them to say those things.
The Queen wishes it. The Queen wishes it.
Well, I don't approve.
So anyway, the theory said that this was an abandoned thing, that maybe like Jar Jar was supposed to be revealed to be evil in in Attack of the Clones, but it was later ditched because of the backlash on the character. But a lot of people think it's actually a long con, and he's going to be the villain of Force Awakens. So anyway, after all this rambling, let's get to it. What do you guys have to add on that you think supports this theory, or what does this theory have going for it?
Okay. I have a supporting argument for it. For what? That'd be amazing. But you know, we'll talk about that in a minute. But in the second Star Wars, it's in the very beginning when they reveal kind of that Jar Jar's a senator. As they're all living Jar Jar's on the screen, he like turns towards the camera, like smiles. And like everyone has thought for the longest time, that was kind of like a George Lucas giving the middle finger to the fans, like no, Jar Jar is going to stay in the movies. But what if it kind of was like that? Like it was like a smile, like you don't even know about this guy. Like you don't even know that he's actually like the Emperor, Lord of the Sith. He's going to be like become leader of the Empire. So like that's kind of the only additional thing I have to what's already been said.
Okay. What about you, Jay?
Absolutely. My number one supporting point is that Jar Jar looks like a Sith Lord.
Yeah, he does.
Sith Lords are always just unsettling to look at. Like you've got Darth Vader with his helmet. That's an iconic one, obviously. You've got like Darth Bane, one that a lot of people don't see, but you get described to you in the Darth Bane books and all that. He sounds really creepy. But like
Darth
Jar
Maul's
Jar's,
got that
Darth Maul is just scary. Don't even talk about him. But like Jar Jar is just like weird. I mean, you get right down to it. He's got the long face and kind of the horse mouth. He's got the two eyes sticking up in the long ears. Right. It's all things
like
that.
Have you guys seen how similar his eyes are to the Sith Lords?
Yeah, like
they're
dark
yellow.
and yellowish.
Yeah, like they look exactly the same. It's ridiculous, but yeah.
Oh my god.
You would think so. With all his powers, he'd be able to hide that.
Right.
Yeah.
If he's gonna be with the Jedi for so long.
Yes, he has some stuff. Yeah, but just stuff like kind of he became a senator to kind of plan to push the Emperor into the like that could all be explained. I think that'd be really
definitely.
Awesome.
And one thing I found kind of interesting was that the account that posted this fan theory, it had only been active for like 2 weeks. And usually that's not like something like, someone doesn't come on Reddit and immediately like type something up that gets tons of upvotes unless they're like part of a marketing team and they like pay for upvotes or something like that. And so it's kind of convincing that this guy might have come on and like tried to stir up the pot so like people could accept this theory before it actually happens, if it were to be revealed later on in like The Force Awakens or whatever, because that's something that would initially get a lot of backlash if people weren't expecting it. So I think people were kind of like if this is marketing, people are getting ready for it and they'll be excited to see it. And also there's gonna be lots of spin-off movies and they'll be jumping around in time. We're gonna have like the Han Solo movie and like Rogue One coming out, so it's not all gonna be like after The Force Awakens. So maybe they're gonna utilize the prequel trilogy timeline and they're gonna start by fixing Jar Jar, because like, you know, people don't necessarily have fun.
Fixing Jar Jar.
Yeah, they don't have fun thoughts.
That's
of
like
the
a
prequels.
movie, Fixing Jar Jar.
Yeah.
so documentary.
So maybe people are like, okay, like what, like there's some weird moments with Jar Jar. Maybe we can like spin this as he's an evil Sith Lord. Then we can go back and like take advantage of the cool stuff in the prequels and make good movies.
Well, that's kind of my main question for you guys. If it is turning out to be, you know, Jar Jar being a Sith Lord, in y'all's opinion, would that fix Jar Jar? Because he's arguably one of the biggest reasons that the first trilogy, well, at least the first movie, the Phantom was like was received so poorly. So do you think that, like, you know, if you're looking that he was actually a Sith Lord and, you know, all this stuff is kind of the reasons, do you think that would fix him, or just make everyone so mad they killed George Lucas?
I think
they just killed him.
It would fix Jar Jar.
Yeah.
I don't think it would fix those movies though, because they still had a lot.
I think those are irreparable.
Yeah, that was yeah, Jar
They
Jar's
killed
not the
Liam
only
Neeson
bad
in
thing
the
about
first
that trilogy.
movie, and I'm like, no.
I think it's really interesting. I'm definitely going to spend some time after hearing all this about who I'm going to refer to as Darth Binks.
Yeah, as you should.
Looking back at the at the older movies and kind of seeing what may lead up to that, you know, if anything, which would mostly just be what we can come up with in our heads watching him, like, did you see how high he jumped? But like,
that's so hard. Never have so many people wanted to watch the prequels until this whole thing happened.
It's actually just George Lucas who came on, like, watch the prequels.
Just one more thing to add to the things supporting this. I think, you know, George Lucas back in the day, he was really ballsy. He like, you know, people were telling him Star Wars can't happen, but he was like, no, I'm gonna do this. And it was like this totally different thing when Star Wars came out. I think you know, it would be really weird and like unexpected, but I think it could happen that George that I think it's possible that George was like, he's wanting to push the boundaries and he's doing this long con and he's just like doing it brilliantly. But I think it's unlikely, but I can see it happening. He's been sitting there
for 20 years, like just wait.
You know, he was a visionary at that time. I think it could be possible. But okay, now we've talked about what supports it. What do you guys think like goes against this theory? Why do you think it couldn't happen possibly?
Because it's Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah,
that's probably just a mistake on his part. Like, honestly, he probably just made that. Like, I've heard, you know, that movie, The People versus George Lucas. You know, seen that. And I honestly do kind of believe that it's more. You know, I hope that. I think it'd be really cool. I really like that. I'd be a fan of that if Jar Jar Binks was a Sith Lord. But I think what probably happened is he started making the Star Wars movies, and then he had kids, and then he wanted to make a movie for his kids, and then the second, you know, like a lot of people said that he wrote the, you know, all three trilogies at once or whatever, and you know he might have, but I do think he kind of added in Jar Jar as like a character for his kids. Probably the case. If it is Darth Binks, awesome. That's the greatest thing ever. That'll be one of the greatest things to happen to me my whole life is that to happen. But
you did mention that he wrote like all three trilogies at once. Like I do think it is interesting because he's a very long-term planner. So who else would better play this kind of long con type thing? But like you said, it's probably just coincidence. What about you?
This is a little bit of an alternative spin. I'm thinking, what if Jar Jar is the Sith Lord?
Right.
But as you were saying, he's just so, you know, out there. He didn't mean to be.
Yeah.
What if he just kind of wound up there? He's trying to get by being a Binks. I don't know what Jar Jar's would do.
Or maybe he's neither side. Maybe he has the Force and doesn't realize it, and he's just like pulling his like goofy tricks with the Force. Just you know, George is not the master of subtlety. You know, he names his characters like there's a character. Like I think he almost named Darth Vader Darth Sickly or something like that, and Han Solo, you know, he's the Solo man. Like
Emperor Palpatine is named Darth Sidious, so it just sounds
exactly. So he's not the master of subtlety. So I have a hard time believing he worked in all of this like subtle stuff into the story.
The long con.
Exactly. And this is the guy who brought us Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And,
an absolute treasure.
The remastered editions of Star Wars where he worked in like a weird CGI musical number into Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And like, of course,
the Star Wars Christmas special.
Yeah, the Star Wars Christmas special.
Oh man.
And my
my
favorite moment of the prequel trilogy when Darth Vader is born and he learns that Padme is dead and he goes, how could this be true? Like, how could this guy who understands his story so little, like hit the appeal of his story so well,
he doesn't even know what's popular.
Yeah, it's
maybe
like,
George Lucas is Michael Cera. He's just like, well,
maybe George Lucas is Jar Jar, and that's why he's putting so much into this character. He really understands it. 'Cause he's like, Jar Jar just seemed to stumble into this, and that's what I feel like I did.
That's how I just became.
This is crazy. The most fascinating thing about this theory, though, is that people legitimately believe it. Most fan theories are like, they've got like headcanon, and they're like, oh, okay, this is really cool, but they all accept that it's not going to happen. This one, like, I've never seen so many people like believe that this is real, because there's so
vehemently supporting this theory that is completely unfounded.
Like, and I think it could be real. Like, there's so much supporting it.
It's like legitimately a possibility.
Yeah, but what's your final verdict, guys? Like, what do you believe?
I would like it to be Darth Binks, but I don't think it will be.
My beliefs are kind of up in the air on it, but my hopes are definitely solid in us coming forth with a Darth Binks.
Yeah.
Do you think it's more likely that this is a long con that they're going to reveal in The Force Awakens, that he's like Snoke, the Emperor guy or whatever, or do you think that this was just an abandoned thing during the prequels?
If this is planned, then I hope it's a long con, because that would be so ingenious. I would probably like give him a Nobel Prize for just genius. Like, that's just masterful story.
Give him a Winston Prize.
Give him a Winston Prize for genius. Yeah. But if it is true, I think it was something that he had planned from the beginning. I would have a lot more respect for him putting that character in. That would make a lot more sense to me. But oh, so maybe he didn't, kind of get soft and just kind of write his movies for a different audience, maybe.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
What about you?
I'm actually, I feel like given the circumstances of the movies and the things that have to go on, I feel like Jar Jar Binks' abilities and the situations he was in, that he may have just been written to fit the situations. Like, sometimes he needed to do a 20-foot twisting somersault, and it's like they can't just make him not.
Sorry, that we can't write that in. No.
Yeah.
He's a cartoon character. He has to be conveniently prepared for every situation, getting by on luck. So that's the main thing that's holding me back here. But what do you guys think? Leave a comment or whatever. This is sorry we went much longer than usual, but like we kind of had to. This is a crazy
very important
theory,
topic.
A lot to talk about here. So just pitch us your ideas and your opinions. We want to thank our sponsor, Top End Gaming. Also, if you're in the Muscle Shoals area, check them out. Yeah, they've got games, they got comics, they got it all. So and just keep tuning in every Friday for another episode. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Woo!